Uncle Dan.
Yes.
There's an old saying.
I do know that there's an old saying.
That the corn is as high as an elephant's eye on the 4th of July, I think. Is that it?
By the by.
Isn't that it? I think that if not the letter, it is the spirit is there.
It's as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky.
Oh, good. I knew I could rely on you for
Oklahoma references.
Is that Oklahoma? Yeah,
that's Oklahoma.
There's
right
no elephants
there,
in Oklahoma.
I literally, so it says you. There may have been mammoths at one point.
According to the Book of Mormon, there were elephants in Oklahoma.
Exactly. So you're wrong, and that proves
Which
it.
is Garden of Eden adjacent. So
yeah, exactly. Just
check,
south.
match, love.
Well, I guess I'll just take it.
Yeah,
Dear
Doug,
uncles.
why don't you start doing your thing?
And anytime you want to start, Doug, that's great.
Oh, this goddamn coronavirus has forced us all to figure out different ways to communicate, to test new technologies, and to get good at things that we didn't even know existed 6 months ago. Mostly what this has led to is pantsless business meetings and a Supreme Court justice taking a dump during oral arguments. However, what's that?
A Supreme Court justice did that?
You didn't hear that?
No.
I did.
Is
Is that a true?
Guys, where have you been? During oral arguments that were being done over the conference call, somebody flushed a toilet.
Of the United States Supreme Court?
Of the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, my God.
And this woman did a deep dive trying to figure out who it was, and she thinks it was Justice Souter.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have put money on... well, no, I was gonna say Thomas, but he was asleep. He couldn't have done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was totally asleep. Maybe it was the ghost of Scalia contributing as much as he did when he was alive.
Exactly.
The fucking toilet sewage.
So yeah, that happened, and we've all learned new things about ourselves and definitely about our coworkers' houses and apartments and attention-hogging cats. We've become masters of your Zooms, your go-to meetings, emails, conference calls, texts, even using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to communicate in new ways. Well, uncles, it may surprise you to know that none of these were the first form of mass long-range communication. I'm old enough to remember when my family only had one telephone. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I was literally just thinking about that the other day, about how, like...
And no machine.
We used to want to get the phone. Young people won't understand this, but we would run when the phone rang to be the person to say hello.
Yep.
Like it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, and it's as if bad news never came in the 70s, right? Via the telephone. And I'm old enough to, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was a kid, you didn't own the phone. We leased it from AT&T, or from Bell or whomever the monopoly was. We leased the phone. And you didn't own it.
That's so Brazil, isn't it? Like you don't even own your phone.
It was very weird.
So yeah, I mean, I remember when that was the main form of mass communication, and of course, I'm old enough to remember the world-changing breakthrough in tactile long-range communication that was hands across America. The world has never been the same.
No, it changed everything, didn't it?
Well, fortunately, now we have the world peace because of it, so that was
That's
lovely.
right.
What was the cause? I don't even remember.
I don't even know.
Who knows? It was
know.
just hippy-dippy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, however, today I'd like to talk about another form of long-range communication that is, without a doubt, far more glutinous and far dumber than any we've mentioned so far. Today I want to talk about crop circles.
Oh,
yeah.
yay!
So if you're 55 or over, crop circles are those things on the cover of the Led Zeppelin remasters. If you're over 40, they're those things from that stupid M. Night Shyamalan movie Signs. And if you're under 30, Led Zeppelin was a rock band, M. Night Shyamalan is a movie director, and crops were those things your parents used to eat in the before times. So if none of that rings a bell, well then, come with me, won't you, to a different, and if you can believe it, more gullible time and place than our current moment.
Impossible.
I 100% don't believe it.
You're about
Impossible.
to. The place is Wiltshire, England. The time is summer 1967. The New Age movement was in full swing. Crystal futures were through the roof. Caravans of credulous white people were streaming from all over the world to the California desert and Taos, New Mexico. The Daily News was lousy with stories of mystical energies, strange occurrences, alien sightings, and worst of all, silly love songs by Paul McCartney and Wings was on top of the charts. It was a weird time. It was in this bizarre time that a farmer in southern England walked out to, I don't know, personally inseminate his flock. I don't know what farmers do. And saw a perfect circle of flattened barley in the center of his field, causing him to exclaim the immortal words, my gird. It's hard to overstate how big a deal this was in the pre-Goop world, not least because Wiltshire was already one of the epicenters of the New Age movement. This is, after all, the home of Stonehenge, one of the world's premier henges, as well as the Stone...
It's probably the best henge.
I would go to... It's in the top 10.
It's in the top 10 henges for sure.
I'd give it top 3 for sure.
Oh, all right. Well, agree to disagree.
This is also the home of the stone circles of Avebury, which are to this day thought to be connected with ley lines, which Uncle Dan talked about back in episode 150.
Suck it.
And the giant hill figures of Cerne and Wilmington. So this place is, a big deal to New Age, and was a big deal to the New Age movement. Yeah. So what would later be coined crop circles began showing up all over southern England, and overnight became a global sensation, leading almost as quickly to a new science, cereology, the science of crop circles.
No.
So, yes.
Really?
Yeah, it's called cereology.
You have to put the word... You spell it with quotation marks around it.
Exactly.
How do you spell it? Like cereal?
No, well, that's funny you say. It sounds like cereal. It's CERE-ology, and it's named after the Roman goddess of agriculture, Ceres.
Right.
And not from the fact that the medium of this science is cereal grains, which would make more sense.
I was so hoping that was the case.
Well, to be fair, cereal derives its name from the same goddess, so, there's that.
Right, there we are.
So... This dovetailed perfectly with the science of ufology or ufology.
Ufology. Ufology.
Yeah. Because these crop circles were immediately identified as UFO landing sites. And remember, this was in the height of the alien abduction, cattle mutilation frenzy that was going around the world.
Right.
Before long, crop circles began popping up in Australia, Canada, the U.S., and other places around the world. Now, before
in Australia, did they swirl the other way? It's a fair question.
That's a good question.
I'm not a cereologist, but I'm sure you can find one to speak about this.
I would be so happy to find out that was true. That like the hoaxsters were doing it the other way.
The Coriolis effect applies.
That's so funny. Before we delve into who or what was causing these. And what they could possibly mean, let's give a little more context to them, which will help explain how they became such a perfect snare for the weak-minded. As early as the 17th century in England, there was a phenomenon called fairy rings, which were caused by fungi, in which it kind of left a round, dead area in fields of crops. Then in 1678, a pamphlet was published called The Mowing Devil in Hertfordshire.
I want that pamphlet.
It's so cute. You should look it up. It's really funny.
And is it pronounced Devil?
Devil, of course it is.
Yeah.
They told the story of a farmer who balked at the local mowing fees, which I didn't know were a thing.
It's the Ammon Bundy of its time.
Yeah, truly. So he stated that he'd rather have the devil do it. The devil cut his field, which in the dead of night he did.
Oh, I see the pamphlet. It's wonderful.
Isn't that cute?
There's a little devil.
Yeah, just mowing the lawn. This is believed to be the first story of a crop circle. However, it's worth noting that the wheat in this case was cut, not bent, as is the case in modern crop circles. So jump to 1960s when UFO sightings were all the rage, so much so that Jimmy Carter claimed to have seen one. The stories began to circulate about alien landing sites, which in some cases left flattened circles in fields. No corroboration, of course, existed, but rumors of these saucer nests began to become very widespread. Then, in 1974, the movie Phase 4 was released. The only film directed by Saul Bass, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. If you know anything about Saul,
title designer.
Yeah, almost every movie poster of the era was drawn by Saul Bass.
Yeah, and he did title sequences.
Exactly.
Gorgeous, yeah.
Yep.
He and his wife, yeah.
The movie was about a deadly invasion of ants controlled by aliens from outer space and sported not one but two taglines. The first was, "The day the Earth was turned into a cemetery." And
it really rolls right off the tongue.
I know.
Little clunky, but we'll give it to
if you
him.
think that was clunky,
it's a first effort.
How about the second one? "Ravenous invaders controlled by a terror out in space commanded to annihilate the world."
No.
It just rolls right off the tongue.
What the fuck?
The only notable thing about this movie is it contains the first known depiction of a saucer nest. Then in the summer of 1976, actual saucer nests began to appear. Actual in the sense that you could walk to one, gaze upon it, and even step inside to soak up residual energy that might be left behind. And boy, did people line up to do just that.
Yeah, because if something that traveled across the universe and is likely highly radioactive,
Exactly.
that's what you want to do, is get some of
get,
that.
Get in there.
Well, isn't that the plot of Cocoon?
It is.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's what gave him the blue steel boner.
Isn't there a sequel to that movie, The Blue Steel Boner? So farmers were ecstatic to lose, a few percentages of an acre of crops to be able to charge a farthing or two to let people wander around. What was causing these increasingly more complex patterns? Theories ran the gambit from the stupid to the crazy. They were signs of alien landing craft. They were messages from one alien craft to another. Surely the dumbest form of communication. They were Gaia telling us to leave her alone. They were focal points of the Earth's magnetic field. You name it, somebody believed it.
Yeah.
The aforementioned Cereologists maintain that steel cannot burn that hot. Oh, sorry. That wheat cannot bend like that, and only microwaves could account for such a phenomenon. More scientifically minded people sought more logical explanations, such as fungi, or possibly, in the case of the Australian circles, a willy willy, which is apparently Australian for dust devil. Or even possibly, and I am not making this up, crazed Tasmanian wallabies high off opium poppies running in circles.
My money's on the Willy Willy. I love that.
I love Australia.
Yeah.
We need
Australia.
If we're ever allowed to travel again, let's do a live show in Australia.
I love it so much.
But they for people who speak English, they literally have a different word for everything.
I
don't
know
how the fuck it works. But.
It's like a country whose language was written by Dr. Seuss.
Right.
Absolutely.
So my favorite explanation was meteorologist.
What if you get killed by a dust devil there? Does its cause of death say Willy
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 Willy.
on your fucking death certificate?
I mean, how many
better.
people die of dust devils in the U.S.?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Probably.
Although you've just made it a life goal of mine to die of a dust devil in Australia.
You'd be surprised. The government's big weather's keeping a lid on it.
So my favorite explanation, just in sheer number of syllables, was meteorologist Terence Maiden, who in 1980 blamed electromagneto-hydrodynamic plasma vortices. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Classic culprit. The usual suspect.
it's always the one you
gets
least
it.
expect.
That guy gets it.
Yeah. The Kaiser Sose of crop circles.
It bears mentioning that actual scientists at the time, among them Stephen Hawking and Carl Sagan, immediately recognized these as complete hoaxes and tried to stop people from falling for them. This frenzy continued unabated throughout the 1980s until in 1991, when two venerable gentlemen from Wiltshire came out and declared that it had been them all along. It turns out that these proper Englishmen, Doug Bauer and David Chorley,
Are the mowing devil.
that's right, they were enjoying a pint in 1976, and over their terrible English beer, sorry England, it's true.
No, it's not. It's good. Don't listen to him.
It's just too warm. That's
You know
all
what I'd
I'm
like
gonna say
is
about
I'd
it.
like a bit warmer and less bubbles, please. I'd really like to savor the taste of this terrible beer.
You need to learn to appreciate an ale. Anyway, go on.
They were shaking their heads at the stupidity of the New Age movement when Bauer said to Chorley, quote, "Let's go over and make it look like a flying saucer has landed."
From such humble origins.
It's really... So they procured a rope and a board, and in less than an hour unleashed a plague of stupid on the world that persists to this day.
Yeah.
That's
Even-
genius. What a genius little monkey wrenching they did.
And the thing is...
If you believe that, because
Right.
as we all actually know,
Yeah.
the aliens just paid them to say that.
that's what Big Willy Willy wants you to believe.
And the funny thing about these two guys is, you think of pranksters, you're probably thinking of like the Yes Men or the Jerky Boys or something like that. These are two of the most like prim and proper Englishmen.
Are they?
Yeah, like stuffy, aristocratic Englishmen.
But they just had one too many pints and said,
Yeah,
Let's have
they
some
were
fun.
going to fuck with everybody. I don't think they realized what they were unleashing, but there you go. So even though they confessed and on camera showed the world how it was done, the dirt paste was out of the tube and there was no stopping it.
yeah, exactly. It's like any conspiracy theory. It's
Yep.
just, nope,
Yeah.
that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah,
Anything and any counter evidence is evidence for.
Exactly right.
Yes. A lack of evidence just shows how deep it goes.
Right.
Although due to their confession and the fact that YouTube is chock full of videos of people making crop circles, they have faded from the forefront of most mystical-minded people. However, there are still many people who believe in their kind of mystic origins. This is, after all, the age of QAnon and Gwyneth Paltrow. So, with the addition of GPS and lasers, crop circles...
Do you think we're going to find out eventually that Gwyneth is Q?
Oh, that would be so fucking funny.
Yeah, that would be worth it.
Okay.
It's just a giant marketing campaign.
I don't ask for a
vaginal eggs.
lot. I just need this.
And she's the mowing devil.
With the addition of GPS and lasers, crop circles have taken on incredible complexity in the last several years. You should just do a Google search.
I know,
and
they're
do the images.
Bananas. Intricate
Yeah.
And
they
so
got them.
pretty.
It's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
they're beautiful.
Yeah, with simple circles giving way to fractals, portraits, and even corporate logos, and even still people worship them. So, and before you ask, yes, there are crop circle penises. So
Yay.
many penises. There are so many crop circle penises that I'm shocked that Ammon Bundy and his merry band of ding-dongs have not occupied a farm in Iowa. For as it says in 7th Nephi, chapter 9, verse 214, quote, "Where there are large penises, there you will find Ammon. For lo, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of girth, I shall fear no foreskin. For thou art my rod and my staff. Hold firm to the iron rod." Penis. So,
That's true.
That's one of my favorite when they read that in conference. That's
Yeah, I love that
It's
one.
very spiritual.
of all the explanations or theories for crop circles, none are better than that of the unnamed UFO expert played by David Cross in Christopher Guest's near perfect film Waiting for Guffman, while standing outside a crop circle near Blaine, Missouri. Quote, "I've been coming out to this landing site every day for 2 years to measure it. And here's the thing. The circumference and diameter change by a few inches, yet the radius remains the same."
Yep.
Which brings me back to the number 5. There are 5 letters in the name Blaine. There are 6. Mix up the word Blaine, mix it around, and eventually you'll get Nabali. Nabali.
That's right.
The name of the planet in a galaxy way, way, way far away. I'll tell you another thing. Once you step inside the circle, the weather never changes. It's always 67 degrees with a 40% chance of rain. Oh, so there you have it. A prank gone wrong. I don't think anybody's been killed by crop circles except for, Mel Gibson's career.
I am telling you, that is a prank gone right.
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
That is
Doug,
exactly what you want.
Do you really think that crop circles made Mel Gibson an anti-Semitic drunk? Is that what you're saying?
So,
Why not?
We've
you
just
prove they
found a
didn't?
way to bring this conspiracy theory back to the Jews.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
We did
We
it.
did it. It doesn't
sure-
take many steps.
I'm sure the mowing devil was accused of being Jewish. So. Yeah.
Well, there you have
Seen
it.
his nose.
Well, that was some delicious cereology, and I
That's
am very,
some great grade A derp. So
Yeah.
wonderful
All right, people.
stuff.
get a board and a rope and get out into your neighbor's field.
And go and ruin somebody's crops
Yeah.
for no reason.
Right. Let's fly out of here.
Woohoo!